We are live and we are on Twitch for the first time ever. So that's kind of exciting. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, and we're going to be we're going to preview week 3. We're going to talk a little bit about teams. We're going to talk a little bit about players. We're going to talk about the sideline fans, fantasy football league. Let me just put a comment on. All right, everybody. We are ready to talk football. Let's go through what the games will be this week. It'll be on Thursday, a big matchup. The Jets will face New England. They'll be in New York. So maybe not the most exciting. I would say that the Jets are favored to win that game. I don't think that that's any stretch of the imagination right there. I think on Sunday games, you'll probably see Cleveland over the Giants. The Green Bay at Tennessee, I think, is actually going to be a pretty decent game. Although Jordan Love is still out for Green Bay, but Willis did a good job for him. Chicago, Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis wins that game. Houston and Minnesota, we have a game with both 2-0 teams. All right. Yes, it's not a vertical stream. Hey, Eitan. Hey, Nathaniel. Eitan's all excited because he's 2-0 in our fantasy league. We're just going through right now the matchups coming up for week 3, like what teams are playing. And then we'll go through some of the players and we'll go from there. All right. So we have the Texans. The Texans will play Minnesota. That's both teams are 2-0, so somebody will take the big L on that one. Philadelphia at New Orleans, guys. I think New Orleans is legit. A week ago I wasn't saying that, but I think New Orleans is legit. I think they take this game, especially playing at home. Los Angeles, Pittsburgh. I would favor Pittsburgh a little bit, although I think this is really kind of a toss-up game. Tampa Bay playing Denver in Tampa. Baker Mayfield has come out of nowhere, just like Derek Carr with New Orleans. They're putting up huge numbers. I think that one is easily won by Tampa Bay. Vegas versus Carolina. Hey, you know what? Andy Dalton might come back and do something great. Now that Bryce Young is not the starting quarterback, but yeah, the Saints started off 3-0, but I think because of Derek Carr's numbers this year and the fact that they have some real players, Olave, and players like that, I think they'll do pretty good. So, yeah, the wedding video was very strong. All right, so I think Vegas might not be able to roll over Carolina because I think Andy Dalton might use his veteran status and help Carolina. So that outlier, that question mark is Andy Dalton at quarterback. Is he going to make Carolina a much better team? Seattle and Miami, I give the nod to Seattle. I don't think Miami has a quarterback anymore with Tua still out. Baltimore at Dallas. Both teams are Baltimore's 0-2. The Cowboys are 1-1. I look for Baltimore to win that game. I don't think Dallas is a very good team. And I think Baltimore is just sort of squeaking out some of these losses. San Francisco at Los Angeles, that's going to be a good game. You have to figure that San Francisco is going to be coming in pretty aggressive after that loss to the Vikings last week. And LA, the Rams have been decimated by injuries. Cooper Kupp went out over the weekend, so I think that's going to be real tough. Let's see who else. Yeah, Dallas might win because they're at home, but I think Baltimore, if they can get the rushing game started, they'll do well. Detroit at Arizona. I like Detroit. I think they're a good team. I think Kyler Murray is having a season I didn't expect him to have so far. I think this game's going to be a lot tighter. I, I do give the nod to Detroit, but that's only because I want Detroit to win. But you know, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a great rebound game last week, so he can put up some big numbers. We know, and working with Kyler Murray, so I don't know. I think that game's going to be real close. I don't think there's a dead winner in that one. All right, Kansas City at Atlanta. Look, this could be Kansas City's first loss of the season. They've squeaked by so far. Hey, Daniel, nice to have you on board. Yeah, those Falcons did fantastic. Are you a Falcons fan? I want to say that you know, my point here, Kansas City at Atlanta. Look, Atlanta came back. What did they have? Like a minute 30 ish, give or take some seconds, maybe a minute 40, minute 30. They came back. Kirk Cousins, he's in his mid 30s. So he's sort of a journeyman quarterback. He's not going to make the Hall of Fame, but he got that team going. Bijan got that team going. Uh, I think I look for really good things, and Kansas City has now Pacheco's going to be out for a while. So, and Travis Kelce hasn't done much in the first two games. Now, I saw something today because I've been watching a lot of shows on the NFL recently just to get ready for tonight. And I got to tell you, Kansas City, what I heard about Travis Kelce was that usually he works out in Florida every offseason. Actually, this was Chris Carter talking to Stephen A. Smith on, I think, Stephen's podcast. And he basically said that he hasn't seen Travis Kelce in Florida or hasn't heard that he's chasing or working out in Florida. So, so I think that that's going to be, maybe he hasn't taken it seriously because he's been traveling with his girlfriend so much around the world. Just one of those things. He might think, going to concerts in Europe is more important than working out in Florida. Plus, he's getting to be a middle-aged 30, middle 30s kind of person. His brother just retired. All right. So I think that's a trap game for Kansas City. I think Kansas City has won by inches. They beat a Baltimore team that's now 0-2. Let's see the other team. Who did they beat? They beat another team that's 0-2, right? So I think that I don't think Kansas City is necessarily as good as we all think they are. And the Bengals, they are 0-2. So Kansas City beat two 0-2 teams. So Atlanta might hand them their first loss. That could be a reality. I mean, I'm not going to rule that out. I think Patrick Mahomes has that intangible. He wins a lot of games, but I think they're ripe for a win, especially playing in Atlanta. The fans there are going to be crazy excited about that game. So isn't targeting Kelce because Mahomes' wife is a Republican. I think Nathaniel, I think this comment here, I think you're being silly. I don't think it has anything. Those guys are good friends. They were at the US Open tennis tournament right after all that hullabaloo about the Republicans and Democrats and whatever else, that we don't get into politics here. So I don't think that should be a factor at all, and why he wouldn't be targeting him. Really, I think that's I think that's one of those games Kansas City and their fans are going to be like, oh, we'll beat Atlanta. I don't know. I think Atlanta's a lot better than uh, people think. So I think the Saints are good. I think the Vikings are really good. I think Texans. I think the Chargers. I think the Steelers have completely surprised me with Justin Fields. And people are talking about who would you start at quarterback. And I got to tell you, if Justin Fields has you 2-0, why would you put Russell Westbrook in? I also heard earlier, I think yesterday, that maybe Miami, if Tua doesn't come back at all or takes the season off or is gone for 10 weeks, maybe they tried to make some sort of trade for Russell Westbrook. But why? You kind of need two quarterbacks in this league, so that might be a tough one. All right, getting into Monday night. Monday night, Jacksonville at Buffalo. I think Josh Allen is just going to destroy the Jags. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been all that great. I heard someone say that he's the best worst quarter or the worst best quarterback in the league, whatever the heck that meant. The Commanders aren't that great, and I think Joe Burrow will get the Bengals to 1-2. They're 0-2 right now. So let's look at, while we can. Does anybody? Did I ever get that same? I have the Sam Musial card. I have the Sam Musial card, but it's in a safety deposit box, so I don't have it with me. I don't want anything to happen to it. I don't want the house to burn down. So, all right. Now let's talk about players. I'm going to put something else up on the screen here for everyone. So many things. I was looking at ways to do this on TikTok, and I was looking at ways to stream TikTok and YouTube, and it's virtually impossible, or it's virtually impossible with my computer. I don't know. It's just not working out. All right. So a couple things to think about. I'll make this bigger too. I apologize. I can make this bigger. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to make it too small for you guys. There we go. I'm trying to make it. Come on. There we go. All right. So quarterback, I don't know why. I think it's just that line. Okay. So these are players that if you have them, definitely start them. I think they're going to have a good season or a good week. And two quarterbacks that stand out, nothing that I haven't kind of talked about. Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, they're up against pretty bad defenses, especially the Jags. The Jags gave up 338 yards to Tua the first week one, and they gave up 186 yards to Deshaun Watson in week two. And then the Commanders are giving up 227 yards in passing. All right. Camden Christensen says, got Richardson, Gibbs, JK. I'm just looking up here. Okay. Ramondre, Chase, Nico, Waddle, DK. Would you send Richardson, Andrews, and DK for Hurts, McBride, and Cooper? Well, here's the thing with the trade. And last week I was talking about possibly, that trades early can kind of hurt you. I think now we can talk a little bit more about trades. Let's see. This is okay. So you have Richardson, Gibbs. So is Richardson your starting quarterback now? And so you're basically saying you'll take Jalen Hurts for Richardson? I mean, I think Philadelphia is a better team than Indianapolis, so I think that could work. Nathaniel says he doesn't like large trades. My question would be for DK for Hurts, McBride, and Cooper. The only thing that scares me about Cooper, and I guess you're talking about Amari Cooper with the Browns, the thing that scares me about him is who is going to be their quarterback. And Deshaun Watson is abysmal. He's not very good. So that's one of the things that worries me about that trade. Hold on. I see that I've gone outside of my, hold on. I'll just leave it at that size right now. So I would say if you're looking to upgrade quarterbacks, I would say Hurts is a little bit better than Richardson. I don't think he had a big game on Monday night. McBride, Andrews. wide receiver. So I think Hurts and McBride could be better than Richardson. Well, I think Mark Andrews. You're talking about the tight end. Um, yeah, I don't think he's anything great. So if you can get anything for him, I think that that would be good. Uh, I think likely does just as well if your league if you can still get Brock Bauer, pick him up. He's better than he's better than Andrews. I mean I think Andrews had a good week last week. The first week he was awful. Likely got most of the passes as tight end with Baltimore. So I think that that's kind of a wash there. If you can if you can give up Richardson and Mark Andrews and get, I guess, Hurts and McBride. Yeah, I would go with McBride. I think McBride and Hurts are upgrades to Andrews and Richardson. So yeah, I think that's a good deal. I think that's a good deal, actually. All right. So let's talk running backs. Jordan Mason versus the Rams. Um, Again, the Rams, not much of a defensive team. They've given up 91 yards by Montgomery and 122 yards by Connor of the Cardinals. So I think Jordan Mason is good to start. I think Devon Achane, is that it, Nathaniel Achane? Um, the offense for Miami runs through him now. So I think he got he got some catches, he got some runs. I think that that is I think that's going to be strong. I think he's going to have a really strong week. Um Hold on one second. Let me just check something real quick. While I'm at it. Okay. Yeah, I think he's going to have a really strong week. So I think it's not the only fantasy league I'm in. I'm in another fantasy league. I'm in another fantasy league and I might join another, just like a Yahoo one. All right. Wide receiver, CD Lamb versus the Ravens. I think only because the Ravens are giving up some passing yards. Jamar Chase with the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to be all over the Commanders, and I think he's going to get a lot of. I think Burrow's going to go to him a lot, so I think that'll be. I think he'll have a good game. Tight end, Dalton Kincaid against the Jags, kind of a no-brainer. The Jags defense is one of the worst on passing yards. And I think Kittle against the Rams, George Kittle against the Rams would be a good start on tight end. So, yeah, I think Trey McBride, if you got McBride and Hurts for Richardson and Andrews, I, I think I think you're getting two upgrades. So I think that's a really, really good trade. All right. Let's look at some key injuries here. Now, the ones that say out, they're out for week 3. The other ones, you'll just have to check. Jordan Love out, Tua's out, McCaffrey's out. Mixon is probably questionable. He's not necessarily out. Isaiah Pacheco is out. Rashad White is questionable, or you have to just keep looking at the roster. Cooper Kupp is out. Puka is out. AJ Brown for the Eagles is out. But Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Lions, you'll just have to check on him over the next couple days. Look at those little things that look like notes, see what he's listed as. I'm sure it'll have a Q or an O or whatever it might be for him. So look at that as well. And then Justin Jefferson, which kind of is scary because he's such a big player with the Vikings. Richard and DK for Hurts and Cooper. Um. Well, let's look at it. Let's look at that. Let's look at Amari Cooper. I don't have it up. Hold on. Let me just call up. It's the easiest way for me to get stats that matter is just go into fantasy football. And let's look at. Hold on, real quick. Let me get rid of this. And then I'll put up the Yahoo. Hold on 1 second. And you're saying for Cooper, we're going to look at Cooper. Amari Cooper. Okay, so Amari Cooper. Ooh, gosh. Yeah, I think Amari Cooper is not having a very good season. He's only had 2.6 points the first two games, and his projection has been a little over 10 both times. So let's see. Let's look up DK. Okay. Yeah. Okay, DK Metcalf. Can you see my screen? I hope you can. DK Metcalf is the much better receiver. And when you boil it down, okay. Would you rather trade Richardson and DK for Hertz and Cooper? I think Cooper is a downgrade from DK, or DK and Mark Andrews for Cooper and McBride. Here's the problem. My preferred trade, if I were you, would be Richardson and hold on. Richardson and McBride for Hertz and Andrews. Now, if he doesn't want that, then you're going to have to. I mean, that's a big hit from Cooper to DK. Cooper is not. I mean, 2.6 points the last 2 weeks. He's someone I wouldn't even start. Like I would consider maybe dumping him. You might be able to actually get a wide receiver just by looking at the list that I had, that maybe some wide receiver is available that you can just pick up, because I don't think there's going to be much of a drop off. Let's look at this. Okay. Hurts like that, right? It's yeah, Jalen Hurts. Okay, Jalen Hurts has 18 and 24 points. Richardson. Richardson. I remember 18 and 24 points. Richardson's had 27 points, so he had a better first week, but a worse second week. And now he plays Chicago, which is, and then he's got Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Miami. I mean, Richardson might have a good. Richardson has, I mean, they'll beat Chicago. They'll do okay against Pittsburgh. They might not win. What I'm saying is he might have good weeks coming up because he's playing Chicago. Tennessee's good, but Miami's in disarray. They don't have a quarterback. Houston's good. Minnesota's good. So that's going to be tough. Those are away games. Buffalo. But then he has the Jets, New England. I don't know. Let's see. Hurts. So I really think at this point, it's kind of a toss up. Nathaniel, it was something about some questions or trivia that I ask. I know every month you ask me this. I can't keep it straight. I'm trying to figure out on Camden's trade. And Camden, you better subscribe and like this stream as well, because I'm happy to help anybody else who has questions. I would say that, quite honestly, that I would give it another week. I would not make this trade. I would not make the 3-for-3 swap. If you have to accept Amari Cooper, I would not take this trade. If you want to upgrade at wide receiver, I would look and see who 1984 All-Star ballot. That's right. I'll have to write that down someplace. I know you always ask me that. I you've been on so many streams and you've asked me 1,000 questions. I get it all confused, so I apologize. But Camden, I would say that number one, Amari Cooper, I would just not want on your team right now at all. Richardson and Hurts theoretically are pretty close to each other. Now, Hurts had a much worse week 2, 12 points or whatever. But it's 77 All-Star ballot. Okay. And but Camden, I would say the 3-for-3 trade, no. I would say any trade that you get Amari Cooper, no. Because you literally, if you're trying to upgrade at wide receiver, go and look and see who are free agents and put a waiver selection on, one or two of those people, even for Amari Cooper. Like, that would be my trade. Trade Amari Cooper for someone that's on waivers, that's a free agent. That's the way I would look at it. Thank you. I try to give the best fantasy advice. So let's go back to this real quick, Lee. Just to put that back up on screen. So again, if you have any of these players, wide receivers, maybe there's no Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. Maybe Nico Collins hasn't been picked up. Maybe Mike Evans hasn't been picked up. You can go after someone like that. Should I trade for Rashee Rice because Kelsey isn't getting his targets? Well, but here's the thing, Nathaniel. Those are two different positions. Rashee is a wide receiver. Kelsey's a tight end. And you have Travis Kelsey. I would possibly look at picking up a tight end. The thing, Nathaniel, that you have to look at is you didn't play Kamara, and he had 43 fantasy points. So you have to look at your team and say, you might want to put him in the mix because the Eagles are playing at New Orleans, and Kamara had a big, big, big game. Now, is he going to have that big of a game? No, because the Eagles are going to target him and make sure that doesn't happen. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to put up 20 points, 16 points. I mean, heck, if he gets a third of that, say it's 16 points or 15 points or 14 points, that's still a pretty good day by a running back. So that's how I would look at that. And Olave had, Olave. He didn't score a touchdown, but he got down to the one. I think he had a pretty decent day, and he's a great wide receiver. So I think you can really, bank on that, for the Saints. I just think that, how did I get talking about the Saints? Oh, because you didn't play Kamara. So I would be looking at possible tight end swaps. Eitan, Kelsey isn't getting open anymore. He's getting slower and old. That's probably true. It's also because you got to factor in that Rashee Rice gets more touches because Mahomes is familiar with him. That Worthy guy got a few, I think, what did he get? 2 touchdowns in week 1. He's not the target. He's blocking. He's doing some of the little things. So you're right to a certain extent. He's getting older and slower. And if he didn't go work out in Florida, maybe that there's a reason for that. But I'm not saying about trading Kelsey. I'm saying about trading for Rice. Well, I have Rice, so you got to give me a good trade. I mean, you got to give me one heck of a trade. And right now, I don't know that I would be accepting Travis anyway. But if you want to put out, you want to give me a trade, I would be open to it. Although Rasheed, I think I'm planning to start him. Let me just look this up real quick. My team, yeah, I have Rasheed Rice starting. I have Marvin Harrison starting. I have Garrett Wilson starting. I have Isaiah Likely starting again. I thought I put out for some free agents, but Brees Hall, what's that little symbol? Showers. Oh, it might rain, I guess, for them. That's tomorrow, right? Yeah, against New England. Well, we'll see. Is it supposed to rain tomorrow, Nathaniel, in New York? Um, okay. Taylor Swift is getting Travis's head. I don't know about that. I think he's traveling and probably not focused. I just offered you one trade. Okay, I'll take a look at it, but with Rasheed not included. Okay, I will spend some time on my lineup tomorrow and Thursday. Good, because that would be great for the fantasy. Now let's look at fantasy right now on the Sideline Fans Fantasy Football. I don't know who's still around. Let me go back up here. Aton, who was with us, Aton is 2 and let me make this bigger. Sorry. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay. Aton in first, 2-0. Nikki's nifty team, 1-1. He trounced me the first week. Derek's dazzling team, I beat him. Then there's me. I'm really a bad team. I got lucky last week. Ron's remarkable team is 1-1, and those Samson boys are combined 1-3. So got to look at it. Let's look at our buddy Nathaniel's team right now. Let's make it a little bit larger. Okay, Nathaniel, I think Josh Allen is going to have a good week. I think Devonta Smith probably has a good week. I don't know why that wouldn't be. I think Stephon Diggs is a good player. Wide receiver, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, you have starting. That's good. Travis Kelce, you have starting. Jonathan Taylor, I think having a running back in that is optimal. I think those are projected points. I think that's right in line. Let's see who's on your bench. Okay, Malik Neighbors. The Giants stink. The Giants stink as a team. So I think Neighbors is probably a good player and might even put up bigger numbers. But but they just have a bad team. Kenneth Walker, good player for Seattle. That questionable always worries me because it always seems once I see that Q by someone's name, I try not to start them because either at the last minute they're out for the game or they just don't get as many reps during the game. Jalen Waddle, yeah, I think that's a good choice of benching Jalen only because they don't have a quarterback and everything's going through the running game right now. And the running back that isn't seeing the light of day is Raheem there. It's not going through him. Who did I say it was going through before? Gus Edwards. Like Gus Edwards, for instance, you could probably get rid of Gus Edwards and look at any tight ends that might be better. I think your starting lineup is strong. I think you might want to look at tight ends and plug in maybe if there's a tight end that's available. I think your starting lineup's good. I would look to maybe upgrade somebody for Gus Edwards. And then Raheem, I don't think he's getting the touches for the Dolphins. The Dolphins are, let's see here. The Dolphins, I'm just going to my notes real quick. The other running back for the Dolphins, I can't think of his name right now. Yeah, Chen. I think the offense, as I said earlier, is going through him. So I think that's the kind of person you'll want. Now, the one thing about Raheem is if Chen goes down, the offense will probably go back through him. So, it's just a question. But Gus Edwards with the Chargers, I don't think he's the one for you right now. And so you might want to look. Let's look right now. And I don't have the chat going. It's raining from 3 to 5:30 in New York. Okay, playing up for the game. Aton this week. You are playing Aton this week. Yeah, I'm going to get killed. Okay, so you placed a waiver for Brock Bowers. I think that's smart. Okay, let's look at, if it lets me, available tight ends. We're just looking to see what's out there. Okay, so you put a waiver wire for Brock Bowers. I think that's good. Andrews again is up over 9, but let's look at Andrews because I had him on my team and he just stunk. He had 2 points, 2.5, 240. He had 710, which actually isn't bad. He might be someone to pick up. I had him, I drafted him, and then sometimes I get a little frustrated and I just dumped him. But we know Brock Bowers had a really good week last week, especially for tight ends. He had a really good week 1, so he's a great person to put a waiver claim on. Let's see. And hey, Dallas has put up about the same amount of fantasy points as Mark Andrews. And then it's just a question of, let's see. Let's look here. Yeah. Yeah, I would say try to get Brock Bowers and then maybe look for a trade. Maybe look for a team, Nathaniel, that already has like a tight end on their bench. Maybe you can trade somebody for that. But I would look for the waiver wires. I looked at all your comments. I did. Yeah, Andrews just isn't getting any targets. That's true. Yeah, Dallas. Yeah, you might just want to look out for some tight ends and go from there. But I think week 3. Let's look at what the matchups are here in our league that we like to talk about. I am playing. Oh, that's week 2 because they're still putting in. I'm playing Aton, who is 2-0. Derek is playing Ron's remarkable team. No one changed their names except me. Both 1-1. And then we have Nathaniel versus Footballer Nick, who we haven't heard from tonight, I don't think. 1-1 is Footballer Nick, and Nathaniel is 0-2. I think Nathaniel, you might have won. Let's see. Yeah, Nathaniel, if you might have won if you played Kamara, but you probably didn't know. It's no big deal. I don't know. You lost by almost 33 points. So can we look at that matchup? Let's see. Who did you have? Week 2, you had Kamara on the bench. Ooh, it doesn't even say that now because you moved him, doesn't it? Am I looking at the right? Nope, I'm looking at the wrong team. Sorry. Why am I looking at Nick's team? Oh, I see. Nathaniel. Okay, we're looking at Nathaniel week 2. He had Kamara on the bench. Had he not, had you not put Christian McCaffrey as a starter, you would have won last week because he gave you 43 points. Anyway, no big deal. Now I know the Cardinals won't make the playoffs this year. Yeah, no, I think they claimed that about last week. And then now, if anybody's still around, I'm going to be doing TikTok on Wednesday nights. TikTok is a whole different animal than this. I can handle everybody's question on here. TikTok, they come at me pretty quickly. So I'll be doing, and I know, Nathaniel, you can't have a TikTok account, but that's not why I'm doing it. When I did TikTok and YouTube last week, TikTok was just coming at me. So I will be having sort of a different kind of channel there tomorrow where I'm just answering questions and making sure people our subscribers before I answer their questions. There will not be a show tomorrow. It'll be on TikTok. Um, what was a dumb idea? Dale's, I don't know what is a dumb idea. You need to go to the Lord's Newport Bobble at night. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're just, if I can get a decent ticket, I was looking at tickets earlier today for tonight, but all right. Well, that's it. That's the show for tonight. Josh, what do you think of Vikings this season? Also, are Jennings and Steele good pickups in a 16? Yes, I would say Jennings and Steele are good pickups if that makes your team better. Yes, definitely. Like if they're an upgrade, definitely. Um, if you just want to sit them on on your bench, are they better than your bench players? That's what you have to look at. The Vikings are for real. They're 2-0. They're playing the Texans. They're playing in Minnesota. They could win that game. They could be 3-0 by this time next week. So that's a huge game for them. Uh, there will be a show. We'll be on YouTube every night, every week at 9 o'clock Eastern on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday we'll be on YouTube, and on Wednesdays I'll be on TikTok because right now I can't figure out how to multi-stream TikTok and YouTube using the same platform, which totally stinks. So, hey, the Cardinals are winning actually 2-1. All right. I will talk to you all later. Have a great week. Thank you.